to know. Yeah, you can choose. I'm going to be sitting here. Sandra Uwera from Fairtrade. Julie works for Nespresso. And Flavia is Maia from Brazil. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
This feels like Women of the World. This feels like my platform. Switzerland, Rwanda, Brazil. We had a wonderful chat beforehand, also last week. And I'm very much inspired, but also honored by everything that you do, so thank you. And Julie, I would maybe like to start the talk with you, or the panel with you, because you are replacing Guillaume Lecomte, who unfortunately was unable to join us. But actually, during the prep call, he said, yeah, but I think Julie would actually be a better one to talk about this. So before we go actually into depth of what you are doing within your organizations, can you think of a role model or of a person who really inspired you in the past?
So Carine, first, many thanks for the invitation, and I'm really humbled to represent tonight Guillaume. So on that question about role model, when you asked me, I thought, oh my God, there are so many role models, probably starting with my mom, you know. But then I thought about inspiring women that I met during my professional life. And I particularly thought about one woman who helped us revive coffee in South Sudan 10 years ago. She was our first lead agronomist there after 60 years of civil war. And this woman had gone through a lot of chaos in her life. She was gone to Uganda when the war came. She returned to DRC Congo, and sorry, no, to DRC Congo, to South Sudan. And she was energized to recreate a supply chain of coffee. And what was striking for me, and why she's a role model for me, and very inspiring lady, that she had a strong resilience. She was determined, and she was mission-driven. And at the end of all that, she was still very humble. And I think that what struck me the most, and I thought, okay, probably if you want to really give a legacy to this planet, because like you said, I have also children, I want this planet to be as good as I got it when I got it as a young person. I need to be on a mission, but still be humble. So that's my role model.
Beautiful, I love it. Sandra.
My role model is, well, the lady who inspires me, let me put it that way. My role model is actually my father, but the lady who inspires me is Oprah Winfrey. I'm inspired by Oprah because she pushes passion. She believes in passion all the time, and I think passion is written all over her work. And with passion is resilience. And because she's resilient and she's passionate, she's able to meet every stumbling block, go over it. Every bottleneck, she pushes it down. She pushes every mountain. She still keeps on climbing. And even today, she encourages a lot of women and girls to do the same thing. So I'm inspired by her because her narrative speaks a lot to me. And it's one of the things I'd also like to push forward to people who look up to me. My siblings, my family, my colleagues, my friends, and even, you know, the future generation.
Wonderful. Thank you. Flavia.
This question is so interesting because I have been thinking I was so lucky that I had many role models throughout my life. Yet recently, my role model is not a person, it's a collective. And I have been thinking and being inspired by the collective of women in the front lines of climate change in this form of decentralized, networked leadership. I think it takes out a burden out of our backs when we feel like we don't need to be a hero, we don't need to save the day, we don't need to do everything alone. We can count on each other. So there is a specific movement of women in my region, the Brazilian Northeast. It's the, in Portuguese we say, Movimento de Quebradoras de Coco Babaçu, Babaçu Coconut Breakers movement. It's a movement of 350,000 women holding the front lines of climate change, protecting the environment, defending human rights, and I'm truly inspired by them.
Wonderful. You just returned from a retreat, which I thought is beautiful because it really allows you, you know, to go deep inside and connect, most likely with Mother Nature and with what is your purpose on life here. And we are talking here, you know, the topic of this panel is nurturing a more representative network of change makers. But if you look at your work, what are insights that during this past retreat you came up to that you are going to be able to use in your work?
This retreat was so special because I think I didn't tell you that, but I meet His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, as part of a leadership network that I'm part of, the Dalai Lama Fellows. And it was such a special moment, so many insights, but one thing that he insisted a lot was on the unity of humanity, the oneness. If this is one thing that he wants us to remember, is that unity. And I think this is the message of climate justice and the climate leadership of the future. The things that I care about is that we need to care about each other and to take care of each other as if we are taking care of ourselves. Because this is, at the end of the day, this is the truth. We are unity. And I'm feeling more and more inspired to do this. As you know, I'm a woman from the Global South. I circulate in spaces like this in the Global North. There are not a lot of people here who look like me, who sound like me. I don't think I saw a lot of Latinas here. Hey! I saw some Brazilians in the room. But every time that I feel like, do I belong here? I remind of him saying, yes, you do belong here because we are all the same. And this is the message that needs to resonate across all the sustainability sector and humanity as a whole.
I love it because I think this is a beautiful bridge to, you know, to the other two ladies, because you are both part of the same industry. You're in the agricultural part of the coffee business, and you're in the marketing, and you know, and in this. So, I mean, how does oneness? How do you feel? Because I can imagine we were talking about it before, like the policies of Fairtrade influences also your business, and decisions that are being made within Nespresso most likely also have influence on you. Would you be able to talk about that a little bit?
So we operate in a space where we encourage corporate companies like Nespresso and other businesses to incorporate responsible practices within their supply chains that ensure that the products that they're buying are integrating mechanisms such as good working conditions, good labor practices, fair prices, and also encouraging premiums that can be given back to the producers to help them to build stronger, more sustainable business operations. The beauty about our business, Fairtrade, is that we engage with the producers at the highest levels of decision making. So within our governance structures at a board level, at a General Assembly level, and even at a premium committee level, we have a 50%, premium committees are 100% driven by producers, but in our governance level, we have a 50% engagement with producers. They are part and parcel of our decision-making processes, so that solutions that are driven out, that we drive, are actually custom-tailored solutions supported, owned, and committed to by the producers. And this is why Nespresso also likes to work with us. We have a long-standing engagement, a relationship that has been going on since 2013. And this is because we provide a platform where you can directly dialogue with the producers, understand the demands, the needs on the ground, and develop grassroots solutions for grassroots problems. So it's a very, very important relationship that we have with Nespresso and so many other partners. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing definitely that drove us to Fairtrade 10 years ago as a game changer, it was really a game changer in the way we were interacting with the farmers, was this governance model. And we wanted definitely to channel the money down, making sure it reached the farmers. And the governance model they have is really unique. And interestingly, for people who know Nespresso, there are not so many Fairtrade capsules as such. We don't market it. Nevertheless, we work a lot with Fairtrade, and we buy a lot of Fairtrade coffee. So this premium goes indeed back to the farmer. And we made incredible project together. I'm thinking particularly in Colombia, where it all started with a predecessor of Sandra, a woman, actually, because there has been quite a lot of men as well at Fairtrade, and probably she was one of the first women CEO of Fairtrade International, and she had this vision on creating a future for the farmers, because most of the coffee producers cannot retire. Cannot retire.
Really? Yeah.
You know, they have to work until the end.
Yeah.
And she came with this vision of a farmer future program. We could use the premium that goes into the cooperatives to basically create a safety net or a protection for people to retire. And that's how the first stone of this, what we call now the saving plan or the pension scheme, had started in Colombia. And on this journey, what also was incredible is that we embarked another important entity, which was the Colombian government, because they had a system in place, but they just couldn't reach the farmers. And with this collaboration with Fairtrade and the access we have to farmers, because in our case, we buy from the same farmers every year, we know them by name, we know exactly the quantity they sell to us. And it was really a way to give this accessibility of the Colombian project saving scheme to the Colombian farmers. So it's amazing because it's collective intelligence, it's collective action. And that's the way we see as well the future.
So yeah, that's just a snippet of some of our projects. We have a crop insurance program that we've done where we assist with Nespresso. We focus on helping producers revive their businesses after damage and loss because of climate challenges. This is a climate action event, so it's important to also understand how we also tap into that. And again, such a solution was driven by the producers. They actually highlighted the challenges they have on the ground, and we worked together as corporate entities to build homegrown solutions for homegrown problems. Yeah.
So we were also talking last week about how many women do you have in leadership positions within Nespresso? I mean, because I can imagine the more women come into that, into your company, also internally focus changes, because women focus on different things than men. Can you maybe name an example of that?
Of women, you mean women or the statistics?
Yes, because I always think, numbers always give a clear...
Yes, okay. So definitely women in leadership position is around 30%, 35%. In the agronomy network that I lead, because I'm in charge of the agricultural services for Nespresso, it's also the same figures. We have reached that proportion of women in our workforce on the ground. And what is really important is that it was all triggered because of an intent. There was an intention behind, and we made it happen. And as we commented as well with Sandra, is that if you have the intention, more than a commitment, you make it happen, and then it comes naturally. There are still some countries, when I speak about the field workforce, the people who are really in proximity with the farmers, where we have difficulty to recruit ladies, young ladies with the right skills, but we are really on it. And most importantly, men or women, as you said at the beginning, we want as well the farmer to be, with the same access to the knowledge and to the resource. And so male agronomists, in our case, they receive the same training as women agronomists to make sure they have no bias in the way they train the farmers, equally men and women, and make sure that women farmers attend the training. And we have as well a nice proportion because we have 40% attendance of agronomy training by women farmers.
Fantastic. So talking about numbers, we were talking about the data and that you're actually using your platform also on the accommodating on the gender gaps in agriculture and climate change. Would you be able to tell a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the data is powerful. So my work with Filha do Sol, the nonprofit that I run in Brazil, is basically to go to the front lines of climate change and finding the women who are already making a difference, who already have an impact, social and environmental positive impact, but do it with no resources, with no visibility. And this is a systemic problem. There is this data from Women in Dev saying that 90% of all the philanthropic funding goes to organizations led by white people, 80% goes to organizations led by men, and just 0.2% goes to women in the environment. And this is very little, especially when you consider the impact that they have. It's it's a low-cost, effective solution to climate change, and for me is one of the most undervalued solutions to climate change. And we are speaking about farmers, so I brought this data from the World Bank saying about the gender gap on agricultural resources. Given the same resources as men, women farmers can help reduce world's hunger and poverty. Women are about 50 to 80% of small-scale farmers in the global south, but they own less than 10% of the land. According to the World Bank, if provided with the same resources as men, women can increase agricultural production by 20 to 30% and reduce hunger by 12 to 17%. So as you can imagine, coming from Brazil, a country that faced high levels of deforestation over the past few years, and hearing that deforestation is the solution to world hunger, it's not. It's gender equity. We don't need to clear land to plant soy. We don't need to clear land to raise cattle. We need to give resources to women, the same resources that men can access, and then we'll drop poverty and hunger rates.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Sandra, would you be able to share any of the programs that Fairtrade has actually created, to advance more women within the workforce?
Yes. So what is interesting, so we source from 2 million producers across the globe, and we sell our products to about 71 countries across the globe. The percentage of women within this particular, within this 2 million bracket is about 46%. Interestingly, it represents the percentage of women in the agricultural labor force across the board, so 46% as well. One of the key programs we have actually set up within Fairtrade is a Women's School of Leadership in Africa. We've also done the same in Latin America, where we encourage women to come, join the school and build negotiation skills, confidence skills, bargaining skills. We encourage women to build more technical capacity skills that can help them to diversify within the traditional crops they're selling, whether it's coffee or banana or cocoa, and sell other export value crops, like yams or sweet potatoes or flowers, and build a more ready market locally that they can sell their products in. We also encourage women to strengthen their bargaining power when when focusing on joining corporate governance processes. So right now, the way the market is built, a lot of boards are driven by men. But we also encourage women to step up, to engage in these boards and put their foot forward and show the capacity they have to also strengthen corporate governance structures. Now, at a community level, within our standards, we've actually put that into place. So while we encourage women to join the boards, we also encourage them to understand what corporate governance means at that level. So the Women's School of Leadership looks at that. Beyond that, we also have focused through our premium committees on training women on specific skill sets that can help them to become more viable in the workplaces that they're in. A case in point is in Kenya, one of our flower farms where we have trained women to have baking skills and open up their own bakeries, so they diversify from traditional flower farming into another sector. We've also encouraged women to look at STEM processes, especially seeing how the youth right now are looking at the agricultural space from a very different lens. Some of the youth see agriculture as a business that is dying. So we have tried to see complementary skill sets that can also help youth to bring value addition, more innovation within the agriculture sector. So we've encouraged women and youth, women and girls, to pick up some of these skill sets and take them back to the farms where they're operating in. And we continue to do this. We are very passionate about strengthening women inclusion, women diversity, and women equity at a grassroots level, especially within communities and with producers. In a highly male-dominated agricultural sector, this is very key for us to continuously enforce. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. We are unfortunately coming towards the end. As I told you, we only have 25 minutes. And so, Julie, what would you like to close with? I mean, what would you like the audience to know about Nespresso, sustainability, and what is the impact that you are personally making, and how are you helping younger women within the organization to advance?
It's a long question for
Lots of
1 minute. No, I think honestly, again, based on my experience and my appreciation, I think things are going the right way. There has been an acceleration of change, of women being part of the decision-making process, which is the most important when I think about farmers, when I think about agronomists, and when I think about my work in a more, let's say, European ways of working. I think it's important that they have their share of voice, the women, and I can see it's happening. I can see as well that in the population of farmers, we have more and more daughters taking over the farms of their fathers, which was not the case before. So again, it's like little signs maybe, and it's my appreciation, but at least I think we are going on the right path. And I have so many examples of these determined women. I was mentioning Jennifer before on South Sudan, but I can see, and we have a campaign right now on an agronomist in Colombia, and she says you have to be aligned with your choice. If you want to be a mom, you have to be a mom. If you want to be a leader, you can become a leader. And I think that's what I want people to know about Nespresso, because at the end it's that Nespresso is a human face and a willingness to transform and to change for good.
Yeah, because I mean, I always feel it's the women that often pick the coffee beans. It's the women that buy the coffee, but there's a whole gray area in between, and it really gives me a lot of confidence to hear that there are more and more women in that space. Flavia, how would you like to end our conversation?
I will end talking to men, actually, because I like your little dynamic at the beginning. The majority of philanthropic advisors or board of advisors, investors, they are still men. So you are powerful allies. These men who can donate to climate action and can donate to gender equity, they tend to hear people who look like them, who sound like them. So we count on you. You are some of our allies in this journey, and we love you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation.